Meekness, praus, in Scripture, doesn't mean being weak or passive. It's power under control. It's the way of Jesus. Strength rooted in humility, self-restraint, and radical trust in God. Welcome to the 12th week of messages on giving up bad lexicology for life, where we take a look at original Hebrew and Greek words in the Bible that have been misunderstood and misused, often for centuries, restoring their original meanings. I'm glad you're here. Let's begin this week's message. There's a kind of strength this world doesn't know what to do with. It doesn't raise its voice. It doesn't puff up. It doesn't need applause or dominance, but it changes everything. Jesus called it meekness. And in his world and ours, that word sounds dangerously close to weakness, like you've given up or given in. But that's not what Jesus meant. He said, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." And then he lived it, not by seizing power, but by surrendering control to something greater, to love, to mercy, to God's way of peace. In Greek, praus was used to describe a wild horse trained by a skilled hand, strong, fast, powerful, but under gentle control. That's what Jesus was preaching. Not a doormat, but a disciple. Not spineless, but centered. Not silent in the face of injustice, but refusing to become the injustice. Meekness is hard strength, earned, practiced, deliberate, and Scripture backs it up. Zechariah 9:9 shows the Messiah not arriving on a war horse, but on a donkey. Humble, intentional, revolutionary. 2 Corinthians 12, verses 9 through 10 reminds us that God's power is made perfect in weakness, not because weakness is fun or noble, but because it clears the space for divine strength to shine through. And in Matthew 5:5, Jesus doesn't say the powerful will inherit the earth. He says the meek will. That flips everything we're taught about power. Let's be honest, meekness doesn't feel safe. If you've ever been told to be quiet when you were being mistreated, if you've ever been told to be nice instead of real, if you've ever stayed silent because you thought that's what good Christians do, then meekness can feel like a threat to your very being. But here's the thing, that's not what Jesus meant by meekness. He wasn't telling us to let people walk all over us. He wasn't telling us to make ourselves small. He was showing us a new kind of courage. Because when you have every reason to lash out, but you choose peace, that's strength. When you could destroy, but instead you build, that's power. When the world says fight fire with fire and you water the flames instead, that's Jesus. Meekness is hard. It means checking your ego. It means resisting the urge to prove them wrong. It means trusting that God's justice doesn't need your rage to get results. And let's be clear, it does not mean accepting abuse, injustice, or harm. Meekness is not passivity. It's a weapon of the Spirit, aimed not at others, but at pride, revenge, and fear. Jesus is the model of praus. He had the power to call down angels. He had the right to defend himself. He had every reason to assert dominance. But instead, he knelt, he washed feet, he forgave. He rode a donkey into Jerusalem, not to crush the empire, but to face it head on in peace. He chose a cross over a sword. He chose love over vengeance. And that kind of meekness will split history in half. When Paul writes, I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. He's not celebrating helplessness. He's saying, I've stopped pretending I can do this alone. There is power in surrender. There is might in gentleness. There is strength in choosing the way of Jesus when everything in you wants to fight dirty. What does it mean to inherit the earth? Not to own it, not to dominate it, but to be trusted with it. To walk the land like Jesus did, with care, with reverence, with compassion. The meek are the ones who know how to tend and not take. They build homes instead of empires. They plant gardens instead of graves. They love without needing to be feared. And that's the future that Jesus points us to. A world turned upside down, where humility is the currency, where peace is the power, and where the meek, yes, the meek, hold the keys to a new kind of kingdom. If you've ever been told that gentle makes you weak, hear this. The world has lied to you. You don't need to get louder to matter. You don't have to be aggressive to be brave. You don't have to trade in kindness for control. Jesus has already shown us the way. It's not the easy way, but it's the way that leads to life. Blessed are the meek, he said. They will inherit the earth, and maybe, just maybe, they'll save it too. Y'all have a blessed week. I'll see you next Sunday. God be with you.